Hello everyone, I'm Annie, alcoholic.
Annie.
I'm very fearful to share right now. My scrolls are out and they're nuts and they're all over the show, so please bear with me as if I jump over from place to place, but I'll try and make sure that I get everything correctly. Okay, so where do I begin? From the beginning, I guess. Basically, what happened with me was from a young age, I grew up in Turkey originally. And what had happened was I was allergic to the environment, so that made me to move. So I had to, because of my allergy to the environment, I had bronchitis and I suffered with pneumonia, and I was in and out of hospital quite frequently. And what had happened was I also had undeveloped lungs, so my parents had to bring me down to Mars because it's a much cleaner environment. And also what had happened was they threw me into a swimming pool in the middle of winter and said to me, swim. And that was the doctor's way of trying to help me develop my lungs and grow stronger. And so that's how I ended up in Nkomas, and I've lived there mainly my whole entire life, I would say, before I did my geographicals. And what had happened was I had a beautiful house and I thought that everything was perfect, but actually my mother was married to an alcoholic and I haven't seen him for about 10, 11 years now, and he left at the age of 9, 10, somewhere around there. And what had happened was my grandfather touched me when I was about 8. So that caused a rift between my family, and that caused a lot of friction. My dad used to go out and drink every night. He would start getting to gym and he would start wearing cologne and he would still go out, and then he wasn't home. And being as young as what I was wondering where the hell is my dad? And he would say, oh no, he's working and this and that, and he'd always make these different excuses. And what had happened was because of my grandfather touching me, and I don't want to go into too much detail around this, I'm trying to keep it PG-13. Okay, and basically what had happened was after that, I remember going to a counselor and I had to drive up and down. My dad carried on taking me, and my dad used to blame my mom for what happened to me. And I went and I told my teacher afterwards what had happened to me, and I got a merit for it. And this was the start of where I used to use what had happened to me to manipulate other people, and I would get what I want, and so on and so forth. What happened was, say for example, I wanted something from someone, I wanted to stay there, and I would always use my past experience as me being a younger adult and how my dad was abusive towards us, because he was. And he did used to hit us, and we used to slam doors quite often. I used to run out the house quite often, and I was always trying to get away, and in the end it landed up I was trying to protect my brother. I would rather take the first hit, I would rather take the first blow than having my brother. So that's why my brother and I are so close. And I always used to try and defend my mom as much as what I could, even though I was very young as well. So what happened was eventually they completely divorced and we moved into another house. My dad would come and fetch us maybe every second weekend, and what had happened was he would take us to bars, lock us in cars, and then you'd go and drink, come back, stumble home type thing, lock us, whatever, doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to get at is that I used to use all of these experiences that I was facing the whole time to try and become emotionally better. I always was seeking for love, I was always seeking for that attention, I was always trying to seek for approval in that sense. And I did it the wrong way, and that's thanks to recovery that I know that. What had happened was also I got into a lot of abusive relationships as well from a young age, and what had happened and it just progressed. I remember being my first drink, I don't want to lie to anyone, between the ages of 12 and 16, somewhere around there. I can't remember my exact time I picked up, but I remember being very young, and my first drink was with my dad. And what had happened was they all had different stuff, And I remember drinking it, but I didn't just want to drink one, I wanted to drink two. Then I didn't want to drink two, I wanted to drink, and it progressed. And then I liked the way that I felt. Honestly, I did. And then it progressed to where now, instead of just wanting that, I would try and use a little bit more than what I should have with the medication. I would also try and use my other people as a way of making me feel better, to getting my next quick fix. Okay, and what had happened was I progressed forward, and yeah, so that happened, and I did a lot of geographical because I didn't want to stay home the whole time. My stepdad is quite stern in that sense, being ex-military, not military, what am I saying? Ex-prison warden. And he, in that stern manner, I used to hate him, I used to resent him a lot because I didn't like the way he did things, I didn't like the way he treated us, and he's got this control, and every situation that happened throughout, I used to use it, and I would go and drink. I would go and not use, I would go do a geographical for a couple of days, go missing for a couple of days. No one knows where I am besides my mom, if she does get a message. And it progressed like that continuously. That was my cycle. I just would run. I wouldn't stay where I was because I wasn't happy with how I felt. And what had happened was eventually I met this guy, and I did fall pregnant. And I still remember clearly driving home from the doctor, and I saw the scan, and I knew I was 11 weeks. And what had happened was my mom said to me, listen, you can't keep this child. I was grade 11, 2015. And what had happened was I had to go have an abortion, and my stepdad wasn't allowed to know about it. So I used that. I would use that because how dare she say this, and how dare she say that, and how dare, because now she is wanting me to now get rid of this child because she doesn't want myself, my brother to get kicked out from my stepdad's place. And she said there was also financial stuff, but basically I didn't see at the time what she was trying to say. I just saw it in a completely different light. And I remember going out, and I'd use and drink for about a month, and I was staying over by my friend's place, and I would go out earlier in the night, and then I'd stumble home around about 2 o'clock in the morning, and that was my cycle. I'd get up, go, come back, get up, go, come back. And I carried on doing that. The first time I touched the green stuff was grade 10. I actually owe immense to the school in that sense. Because what had happened was there was exams, and what had happened was we went out and we were down there by Scottsboro at the beach and smoking before my exams, and I was completely out of it. And I still remember laughing at Hardy Dars and Mongooses and whatever else was there, and coming back and thinking that I aced my exam. Meanwhile, I didn't. I completely failed that one. And then my second time was just down here at the bottom. You can walk across the field, and you can go up where those big trees are, and there's and there's like a wooden lodge there, log. And I would sit on top there, smoke a few, and then what happened was I had to hold on to one of the guy's hands all the way down because that's how high I was. And he left me there in the corner. So what had happened was my friend had to come and fetch me because I had to message her and say, listen, I can't walk, can you please help me? And anyway, so when she came up, I was doing physics, and I thought I aced it as well, and I didn't. I was very sporty in school, but other than that, academically wise, depending on which subject, then I was. So that's when I started the on-off with that, because I didn't like the way I felt, and I also wanted to be a part of the crowd. I also wanted to just get oblivion because of the stuff that was going on at home. And so what happened was eventually it progressed to where I tried to commit suicide a few times. I tried about 6 times throughout my life in different circumstances, whether it was nail polish remover, which don't drink, but it tastes horrible and it doesn't work. Or it was cutting. I'm a borderliner, so I like to cut, and I've still got scars on, and it still hasn't gone away. And so I try that route, or I would try and jump in front of a train. I've done that plenty times. It doesn't work. They always were bloody late. And what had happened was eventually I tried all these different ways of overdosing on chemicals or anything else I could find and get my hands on, basically. And what had happened was, before coming into treatment, I overdosed, and I managed almost on 2 occasions, spaces of 2 months. But what happened was my disease had progressed so violently that I was high every day, but I wasn't just with the green stuff. I was also using other stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it or not, Anita or not. Okay. Substance abuse. So what happened was I used this other stuff, and I didn't realize I was using it at the time, to be honest. I didn't know my stuff that I was smoking was lace. And I used to go through withdrawals, and I never knew what I was going through. I remember getting the shivers, I remember getting the shakes, I remember getting the hot, cold sweats, and not knowing what to do. So I'd go and get my next one, and I'd go get my next one. And then eventually what had happened was I was staying with my boyfriend at the time, and it was very abusive. I remember him throwing glasses across the room and carrying on like that. I would sleep on the floor because I didn't want to sleep next to him. It was just mad. All of it was just mad. And that is the disease, and that's where it took me, was because of situations that I put myself in. I didn't just put myself in those abusive situations. I also went and I means to someone else where I was working for her and I was looking after kids with her. And in this time period of when I did, I was still using. I was very active, and I actually went and slept over at my dealer's place. And what had happened was, with me staying by my dealer's place, I didn't think at the time that it was going to be anything wrong, because I didn't want to go home as messed up as what I was, and I didn't want to face my own consequences. And what had happened was, I knew I had no one. I remember packing my stuff because I was having these mad thoughts of where I thought I could hear people. I thought that I could hear people's movements. I thought I could hear. It was just completely mad. I'll go in more into it and treatment. And what had happened was, I packed my stuff and I was like, no, I'm moving. I don't want to stay here anymore. I just want to move. So then what had happened was, I was there by the tennis court in Mars. Was my using place. And I had nothing on me. I had no smokes, no nothing. So eventually I got up to the dealer's place and I asked him, can I please stay over the night and use? So I did. And then I remember being so fearful because I now knew what he was up to, and what he was up to was obviously something I'm not going to go into. But I basically stayed up the whole night thinking, what the hell am I going to do if this man does anything to me? Anyway, so that was where my disease led me. I would go into messed up situations, whether it was that situation on its own, or whether it was going to other places and being completely smashed and out of it, and sleeping in the back of the seat of someone else's car that I don't even know who these people are. Or if it was going to a nightclub and coming home at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then sleeping and passing out on someone's couch, and then eventually going home. And then my mom's going, where the hell are you? Where have you been? You know, you're supposed to be at this time. Why are you now coming at this time? You know, and it was just completely mad. And that was, I didn't see at the time how much pain I was causing my mom. I didn't see how much I was actually hurting her by doing all of this. But I just wanted my next quick fix. I just wanted to be okay. I just didn't want to feel the way I felt. And I didn't want to face reality. And my reality was all of this mess that I landed up in. And then what happened was, afterwards, I still remember I would drink quite a lot. I would drink, get those cases, about 12 in big quart, and I would drink the whole thing. That was me. As small as what I was, that was me. I couldn't just drink one, I had to carry on and progress. And what had happened was, eventually, I'm going to shoot through now to before treatment again, because what happened was, when I ended things off with this boyfriend of mine, I went up to Bluff. I was high as anything, and I was withdrawing. I didn't know at the time I was. And so what had happened was, with that, I went and I contacted my ex-boyfriend because I thought that people were after me, and it was completely not true. And so that was my way of moving, if you can understand the geographical, me going to my friend's place to try and get away from where I was, to now moving to him because I don't want to stay there. And so that's how it progressed. And then eventually it progressed to where I ended up in a psych ward, because what had happened was he took me to a doctor, and the doctor prescribed me medication, and I had blue pills, and so I tried to overdose. That was my first attempt, but I couldn't manage that because obviously it wasn't enough. Then somewhere between but I landed up in hospital, then I landed up in home, and then I landed up there again, and then I landed up, there again. Then I went to another hospital, and then I went to the next one. And what had happened was I overdosed then again. And so I landed up staying over by a friend's place, because now, me being in disease, I was progressed to such an extent of where I was now blaming him and saying that he's doing all of this, and I got a social worker involved because I believed in my head what was going on, and it was complete madness as well. It wasn't true, but that's how I manipulated this woman into letting me stay with her, and also getting money from her, and also to try and feed my habits. And she was exactly the same as me. She would wake up in the morning, so it was quite easy, And I owe amends to the company that I was going to start working for, because they said to me, no, I can't hire you because of you overdosing and stuff. And then that's how I eventually landed up into rehab, because I progressed into such an extent of where I was completely on this whole bunch of medication, and I didn't want to give it up. I thought I was still going back to the psych ward that I was at, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to get some more meds, and I'm going to carry on using. It's just like, I'm still young, I don't want to give all of this up. And I didn't think at the time how bad I really was. I came in about 47 kgs. I used to weigh 69, so that's how much I progressed in losing so much weight, and I had a lot of self-image issues. So I was either too fat, too this, too that, so I would try, and I had eating disorders as well. And because of me having all of these different disorders, I always used to try and find labels for it. And so when they said to me, I'm depressed, I was like, yeah, I've been depressed for about 12 years. Like, are you clicking on this now? Like, what's wrong with you? But at the end of the day, there was all these labels that they could put on me, but at the end of the day, I am an alcoholic. I will use and manipulate anyone and anything, any situation to get what I want. And I didn't care about the people I hurt at the time. I didn't care about anything, if I'm completely honest. And when I did feel those emotions, when I did feel that pain that I caused someone, I would say I'm sorry. And I truly meant it. I believed I meant it. But then I would still go and do it again. So eventually my family would say to me, we're tired of your sorries, because your sorries mean nothing. Because you carry on doing the same stuff and expecting a different results. And that was my disease inactive as well. And so it was all mad. And anyway, coming into treatment now, what had happened was I came in and I met my buddy. My buddy took one look at me and she was like, oh God. And she had no idea what she was in for, nor did I. Because what happened was I was still completely on my medication, and I had to go through the withdrawing process. So I would think that there were people in the doo-doo with binoculars watching me, and I could hear them, I could hear them outside, and I would tell people, and I'd write it down in a book. I promise you, I have the book still till this day, and I'm like, what was I thinking? But yeah, I honestly believed it, and I was trying to prove to my old sponsor at the time that this is real. This is exactly what is being said outside of the fence, even though I'm sitting on the porch, if that makes sense. And yeah, it was mad. And so what happened was I was still trying to justify everything, and I remember going eventually off my medication, but I was so zonked that I used to get upset because now the whole time I just wanted to sleep, and people would be like, Annie, don't sleep. And I was also on suicide watch, and they'd say, Annie, don't move yourself, because I used to isolate myself a lot. I didn't want to be involved in other people. That's how my disease progressed, because I just wanted to isolate myself. I just wanted to use. I didn't want to be by anybody else. I didn't want anyone else in my space, because I used to go back to my past life of where everybody has hurt me. I don't trust people, etc., 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 and the list can go on. So yeah, and then eventually I had to learn the hard truth about myself. And that was when I was sitting with a room full of people, and I gave them my life story, and they said to me, this is your reality. And I had all 25 blocks to recovery, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. I thought I was a nice person. I thought because of all my bad experiences, that's what made me to who I am today. I didn't think that I had caused so much harm to others. And I am very grateful for being in recovery, because now I can actually make amends to those people. I can now see where my disease has taken me. I can now see the pain and harm that I've caused others. I can now see how I've manipulated others and how I've hurt others. And I'm very grateful for this Yeah, I was going to say that, but he was bigger than me for this program. So, because it has been a mad year, I won't say it's the easiest year, and my sponsor can agree on that, because even though I'm in recovery, even though I'm clean and sober, I can still do mad things, and that is because I actually do believe that we're born with this disease. I do believe that, because I will say something sometimes to my sponsor, and I'll go, this is what I'm thinking, and she'll go, but you're mad. And I'll be like, but why? And then we'll have this whole back and forth, and she'll eventually explain to me, and I click on to what she's actually trying to get to me. I understand now, and that's all I can say is I'm very grateful, because if it wasn't for this, I want to say the treatment center, if it wasn't for the treatment center, if it wasn't for the people that I'm surrounded with today, I wouldn't be where I am. I would still probably be out, and I would either be dead in jails or institutions over and over again, and I wouldn't be where I am today. And I am grateful, because at the end of the day, if it isn't for anyone else, like I said, I don't know where I would be. Yeah. I put a blank. Oh yes, coming into treatment, I also didn't eat a lot, and what had happened was I also did the whole geographical leaving my first boyfriend, because I didn't like the way that they treated me and stuff. So what had happened was, when I left the second one, exactly under the same conditions, I still remember sitting in Cedars, the treatment center, and having a plate of food, and that was the first time I had eaten anything decent. And that also, to me, shows me the progress of how my disease has gone. And I I can't tell you or in words right now. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to express everything. I'm not very good at opening up. I'm not very good at speaking either, to be honest. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there before I make a fool out of myself. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Annie.